Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are back with another episode of the Saga of the Eightpoints. This is a 1,000 point battle report that is fought between Gloomspite Gitz as well as my Stormcast Eternals. Since Cesario will be playing the Lootaz and I will be taking on the Lords of Azure Skies, we'll be throwing it down at 1,000 points. So if you want to see exactly what we're taking for this scenario, go ahead and take a pause and take a look at your leisure. We're going to play some background music real quick. You can pause and take a look at it and see exactly what our warbands consist of. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought, or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Valor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then the hell with you.
Alright, so talk about the scenario rules real quick. So we already set the terrain real fast. The deployment is called No Escape. I am going to be in the red sectors for this deployment. As you can see, my shield characters, which consists of my long strike raptor as well as my Aether Wing, are right smack dab in the middle of my deployment area. And then what ends up happening is on round number 2, my dagger units will show up on the top, and then my hammer units will show up on the bottom. Meanwhile, the Gloomspite Gitz, they get to line up in about 8 inches apart in a straight line right down the middle of the board. We'll talk about that a little bit here when we talk about the battle plan real quick. After that, the victory condition for this one is called Vanquish. Pretty much what the entire thing is about is that I have to protect my hammer units. My opponent's trying to kill those guys, and they show up in the third battle round because that's the no escape deployment. However, I can't have my hammers be within 4 inches of the table edge. If they do, by the end of turn number 4, they automatically count as being down, and they're also killed. It's up to my opponent for Sister Serial in order to kill my hammer units, and that's pretty much the whole objective of the battle is. And then, of course, the twist on this one is called Bloodwind, which means that you add +1 to the attacks as well as the strength characteristics of all fighters this battle with 1 or more damage points allocated to them. So these guys could be more like berserkers because they're fighting in a boiling blood that falls down on every single time they get wounded. It's kind of like, rah, and they're ready to go. So it's pretty crazy. So with these scenario rules over, let's go and talk about deployment real quick. Alright, so here's the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, I'm deployed on the left-hand side while Sister Serial is deployed on the right-hand side. You can see my shield units, which is my long strike raptor as well as my Aether Wing right there in the middle of my deployment area. And then right beneath them I have my hammer units, and right on the top I have my dagger units. Those guys, of course, are being hidden away right there by the standing stone. And pretty much my plan is hopefully I can draw my opponent in. She's playing Gloomspite Gitz, so she has to get within close range to attack me. So hopefully I can draw her in, whittle her down with some attacks before I kind of commit, and then defend my hammer units once my hammer units show up in round number 3. The main goal for me will be get my hammer units directly out of that corner because where they're located at, they can get stuck really quick down there. If they don't get out, they could die by the end of round number 4. And that's pretty much the battle plan I'm kind of going with this on this one. So with the battle plan over, let's go and talk about deployment real quick. Alright, so let's go and talk about deployment real fast. On my table I got 2 characters who are making my shield deployment. That is Samus Stormsight, my long strike raptor, and then right next to him is Horus, my Aether Wing. And that makes the deployment for the shields. For the daggers, we'll deploy on the top of the battlefield in my deployment area. That's Kato's Shadow Step as well as Tulia's Virtus. They're both Vanguard Hunters. And then finally for my hammer deployment, I have my leader, which is a Hunter Prime named Balian Swiftsteel, and I have another Vanguard Hunter named Meridian Sunhelm. And those basically make my deployment for this battle report. Alright, so let's talk about Sister Serial's. I believe this is her her dagger deployment. That's where those guys are at the very front of the list. So these are the guys who basically make up her list. She's got 2 squig herders. Their names are Torag as well as Long Eaters. And she also got 3 cave squigs. You have Bluey, Purpley, as well as Greeny. And you can probably imagine which ones are which from those cave squigs based off their names. So that makes it the dagger deployment for Sister Serial. Up next, we have Sister Serial's shield deployment on this one. We have 3 Shootas armed with bows as well as stabbas. Those names are Flotsam, Jetsa, and Lepsa. Lepsa is the one who's armed with the wings. I believe, Flotsam is the yellow hooded one, and the red hooded one is Jetsa. And that pretty much makes the Gloomspite Gitz's deployment in the middle. And then finally for the hammer in the very front there, the yellow hood, as well as a little cave squig, that is Kribba the Moon Eye. He's a Moon Clan boss, and right next to him are 2 Spear Stabbas. One's called Shiv Ipoka, that's the guy who's in the blue, and the Snicka Nosebite is the one who's in purple. And that makes up the rest of the Gloomspite Gitz on this one. So with the deployment order for the Gloomspite Gitz, let's go and talk about directly at the top of turn number 1. Sister Serial and I both roll off for priority to see who goes first. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Stormcast Eternals. I managed to steal the initiative on this one. I use one of my wild dice to get me another single, so that way I can go first. This area has a triple as well as a double, and I have 2 doubles to use for our abilities on this one. So with the priority phase over with, we skip the reserve phase and go directly to the combat phase. In the combat phase, I activate Horus. I spend one of his movements to fly directly into him, and since he's within range of Torag the Squig Herder, I decide to attack him with him as well, giving him +1 to his attacks using the ability dice for that one. Sorry, not +1 to his attacks. I use the Aether Wings ability, which is called Warning Cry. So that way I can re-roll 1 dice during the attack phase when I attack with my Long Strike Raptor, so that way I can cause some problems for these guys as well. And at the same time, I also managed to use my second attack to attack him, and I think I managed to put 2 wounds on that guy right off the bat, so things are looking pretty good for Horus right now. So we go over to Sister Cyril's turn, and she takes one of her triples and activates the Go Dat Way skill, which is for her herders. What ends up happening is that a Cave Squig herder picks a Cave Squig within 4 inches of that fighter, and that little Cave Squig can make a bonus move. So because of that, this guy flies across the battlefield about 4 inches, gets within close range enough to launch his attack directly into Samus Stormcast. So because that managed to put 4 wounds on the guy right off the bat, which is his normal attacks. So those Cave Squigs, man, those guys are very, very deadly. They have strength 5 in this case, so because of that, they can just roll 4 up in order to hit me just like normal. So because of that, these are the first guys I went up against that can actually ruin me on an even odd in close combat. So that part was kind of scary as well. So I decided to double attack to attack back with my Long Strike Raptor because he can't use his Long Strike crossbow, so he decides to use his fist. I do burn up a double dice in order to make sure that he gets the +1 to his attacks for the bonus round. Unfortunately though, I failed my rolls like it was nobody's business, only managed to put 1 wound onto Greenie the Cave Squig, so that part was kind of sad as well. And since that's only the forces I have on this table, we'd go directly for the rest of the turn directly to Sister Cyrill. So for the rest of the turn, she just pretty much spends all of her guys moving around. The first thing she does, she activates Long Ears, her second of her Squig herders, and Long Ears also attacks back directly into Horus, managed to kill Horus without a doubt. She also used one of her doubles as well in order to launch another attack, so that way he can get bonus attacks in the attack phase. So because I killed my 8th wing without a problem. Lady Sister Cyrill then activates Purpley as well as Bluey, and they both spend double movements moving up to the top left-hand corner of the battlefield in order to upset my dagger units that will be coming onto the board here in a little short while. At the same time, Sister Cyrill, she also activates Flotsam, Jetsam, and Lepsa, and she actually has those guys do double movements directly towards the center of the battlefield, so that way they can intercept my hammer units eventually, or anything else that comes their way. And then she also does double movements for Kriba the Mooneye, also for Shiv Ipoka, as well as Snicka Nosebiter, so that way they can kind of show up on the other side of those ruins and kind of help out their fellow goblins. And that pretty much makes up turn number 1 for this one. Alright, so here's the end of turn number 1 after the end of the combat phase. As you can see, Sister Cyrill is starting to disperse her forces now, actually spreading them up to the top as well as the bottom of my deployment area, because she's trying to intercept my dagger as well as my hammer units as well. At the same time, she also has a Cave Squig occupying my Long Strike Raptor, so that way he can't shoot. All he can really do is engage in close combat. And that pretty much makes up turn number 1 for this one. So with turn 1 over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 2, and we roll off for the priority phase. Alright, so we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Gloomspite Gitz. They managed to take the initiative on this one. Pretty much we had the same amount of singles dice. What ended up happening is that a roll off for initiative, so you would go first, so Sister Cyrill ends up going first. She has a quad, which is a 6 value, and I got 2 doubles as well for my ability dice as well. So with the priority phase, we go directly into the reserve phase. In the reserve phase, my dagger elements, Kato's Shadow Step, as well as Tulia's Virtus show up on the top of the board, and right off the bat I can see that I'm going to be activated with Bluey, as well as the other Cave Squig that is coming their way. In fact, Sister Cyrill activates the Rampager's ability onto Bluey, so that way he gets a bonus move, so he closes the distance between us, and then because he's within range, he spends 2 turns double attacking me on this one. And as you can see, I think he managed to put 11 wounds in total directly onto Kato's Shadow Step, so that part was pretty crazy to see right off the bat that I'm already about halfway dead just from the attacks from this little blue Cave Squig. So, and in turn, I do activate Kato's Shadow Step in order to counterattack against this little Cave Squig, and all I managed to do is manage to put 2 wounds onto Bluey, so things are not looking very good right now for Kato's Shadow Step. And to make matters worse, Sister Cyrill then activates Purpley, who just spent one of his actions to move forward, and then spends another action to attack as well. I think she managed to put, 6 wounds on me, was in his end doing with Purpley as well. So in turn, I then activate Tulia's Virtus. He does get a bonus dice for additional attacks. Unfortunately for me, though, I failed my attacks. I didn't really cause any damage, so because of that, Purpley, the Cave Squig, is completely fine without any cause of injury. Meanwhile, Sister Serial then activates Greenie, who manages to put me up to 12 wounds on my Long Strike Raptor, which is pretty bad because he's only 8 wounds away from being killed. I do spend another double over my ability dice to give him +1 to attack to his fists, and I only managed to put 4 wounds in total onto Greenie as well. So right now, that little green cave squig is winning the upper hand and just chewing up my Long Strike Raptor like it's nobody's business, so that part is pretty sad. And since I have no more Stormcast Eternals, the rest of the turn is dedicated to Sister Serial. The first thing she does, she actually sends down her little mob of close fighters, which is Crib of the Moon Eye, Shiv Eightpoints, as well as Snicka Nosebiter, moves them down directly to the other side of that brick wall in order to intercept in my hammer units will be coming in the next round. At the same time, she also maneuvers her 3 shooters, which is Flotsam, Jetsa, as well as Lepsa. And the way that she did it, she positioned her shooters in such a way that they're within 12 inches within their bow range for their bows. They could either hit my Long Strike Raptor, they could hit my dagger units on the top, or if I'm deployed close enough, they could also hit my hammer units as well. So that's a really good position that she actually put her little goblins in. In the end, however, for the second action for each of her little goblins, they actually had to open fire with their bows directly into Samus' storm sight. So because that raises wounds up to 18. So this guy is 17, raising up to 3 away from being killed, which is absolutely crazy. At the same time, she also sends in, I believe that is Long Ears, who's one of the squig Marauders, moved him directly behind Greenie, so that way he can also attack my Long Strike Raptor. And I believe she also did the same thing with Toe Rag, sending him up directly to the north in order to intercept my dagger units. And that pretty much makes up the turn for this one. So here's an overhead shot of turn number 2. At the end of it, as you can see, Sister Serial is actually doing a really good job keeping me separated from my different elements and doing a good job pinning them both. My Long Strike Raptor is engaged right now with Greenie as well as Long Ears. At the same time, my dagger elements of Kato Shadow Step as well as Tullius Vertus, they're being occupied by Bluey, Purpley, as well as by Toe Rag. Those guys are reoccupying me at the top. She also sent down, Snicka Nosebiter, as well as Shiv Eightpoints and Crib of the Moon Eye down directly to intercept my hammer units, and also repositioned her 3 shooters, Jetsa, Flotsam, and Lepsa, in such a way that they can engage anybody on the table. So that part is pretty good. Sister Serial is playing this game like a boss. So with the end of turn number 2, we go directly to the top of turn number 3, and we roll off for priority to see who goes first. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 3, and I managed to get the initiative on this one. I did end up with a quad, same thing with Sister Serial. We had 2 singles apiece. We both used our wild dice in order to get the singles apiece as well, so we had to roll off, and in the end I won the roll off. So because of that, I get to manage to go priority first. So with priority over with, we go directly to the reserve phase. And in the reserve phase, I bring in my hammer units, which are Balian Swiftsteel, as well as Meridian Sunhelm, showing up right on the southern portion of my deployment area. And so because of that, that's where they located it right there. So the first thing I do is I actually spend a movement for my character. I actually give him to move 4 inches out of the area for Balian Swiftsteel, and then I decided to use the Aim Strike ability, which allows you to take the ability dice that you have for your quad and apply that to your normal attacks. So as you can see there, that's actually being number 2 points of damage for each of my normal attacks. And I took all my crossbow shots and fired directly into Crib of the Moon Eye, which is the leader of this warband. I managed to put 8 wounds on this guy, so he's about halfway dead. So that part was kind of nice, taking the offense in order to break out real quick. However, Sister Serial then also activated, I believe that is Shiv Eightpoints is his name. Oh, sorry, not Shiv Eightpoints, that's Sticka Nosebiter. I do apologize. That's the little spear stab. He basically activates what's called a sneaky stab ability, so that way he gets a bonus attack. So because he does move 1 inch to come for normal movement inches of 4 inches directly to get in contact with my character, and because he's got a spear, he's got a 2-inch range. Doesn't need really about closing distance on that part. So he gets his normal attack, but he also gets a bonus attack as well. But not only that, if these are within 1 inch of my fighter, which he is in this case, he also adds the value of the ability that he has directly into damage as well. In the end, I think he managed to put, 9 wounds directly onto my character. Meridian Sunhelm. So because of that, he's already taken some damage right off the bat. So that part was pretty rough as well. So I do counterattack with Meridian Sunhelm directly against this little stab guy, and I managed to put 6 wounds on him when it was all said and done. So not glorious, but then again, these guys only do carry 8 wounds apiece, so he's only 2 away from being dead. Meanwhile, that little green cave squid Greenie managed to finish off my Long Strike Raptor. So because I do lose Samus Storm Sight just like that, which is a pity because he didn't get a chance to use his Long Strike crossbow in this one, so that part was kind of rough. Meanwhile, over here on the top of the screen, after it's all said and done between the back and forth between Sister Serial as myself, I managed to kill Bluey the Cave Squig, so that part was kind of cool, and I took some damage, also managed to dish out some damage as well. By the time it was all said and done, however, it was absolute chaos that kind of took place up here on the top. First of all, I managed to lose, 16 wounds directly onto Kato Shadow Step. At the same time, I also lost 12 wounds onto Tullius Vertus as well. I managed to put 8 wounds onto Purpley, and this one says 8. It actually should be 6. I do apologize. I managed to put 6 wounds directly onto Toe Rag, so because of that, he's still alive. He's about 2 away from being dead. We realized we made the mistake after we took this photo, so it's actually supposed to be 6, not 8. All right, because that guy's still alive. So man, a lot of bloodshed going on up here at the top of the screen. I'm just actually surprised about how dangerous Gloomspite Gitz actually are in this game. And since I have no more other characters left on the battlefield, the rest of the turn goes directly to Sister Serial, and she kind of gangs up onto my leader Balian Swiftstride. So as you can see there, she attacks with Crib of the Moon Eye as well as with Shiv Ipoka. At the same time, she also decides to open up fire with Flotsam Jetsam as well as Lepsa. Managed to put 11 wounds in total directly into Balian Swift Steel rather. The only good thing about him is that he's got 30 wounds, so he's still pretty good, but he's about a third of the way down to being dead. So that's absolutely crazy to see how much firepower and damage these little Gloomspite Gitz can bring out. So that takes directly to enter turn number 3, and here's the overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, Sister Serial is now starting to send her other Squig Prodder, Long Ears, heading directly towards my leader as well. Sister Serial is also doing a pretty good job of maintaining distance between keeping my character Meridian Sunhelm directly in the lower bottom of the deployment area as well. And that's kind of rough because if I don't get him out of there quick by the end of the next round, he's going to die down there, so that part's kind of sad. The crazy part is if I do disengage, there's nowhere for me to go. I can't go up the tower, I can't go through the ruins because that takes me directly into Greenies, so if I don't kill this little goblin right off the bat, I'm going to be stuck there. I'm going to be a dead man if I don't do something quick. At the same time, Sister Serial is also keeping my dagger units completely occupied with Toe Rag as well as Purpley, and then of course my leader, Valiant Swiftsteel, is slowly being surrounded by a mob of little greenskins, so I gotta worry about that too. So with the end of turn number 3, we go directly to the top of turn number 4, and Sister Serial and I roll off for priority as she goes first. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 4, and the Gloomspite Gitz match to take the priority on this one. They got 4 singles, while I only got 3. I do have 2 doubles, but Sister Serial also has a triple as well. So with the priority phase, we skip the reserve phase because everybody's on the table, and we go directly to the combat phase. Alright, so starting with the battle phase, combat phase, Sister Serial then activates Crib of the Moon Eye and also uses the ability Stab Him Good. And pretty much what it does until the end of the battle round, you add 1 attack to each of the actions that have within range of 3 inches or less for all friendly fighters in the 6 inches of my leader, which means that everybody, the Squig Prodder as well as the Shooters, as well as the other Stabba, they all get that additional +1. Not to mention, we're all also +1 strength and 1 attack because of the blood rain that's taking place as well. I forgot to mention that as well. I think the reason why there's so much damage taking place between everybody is because of that blood rain, because everyone's getting +1 attacks as well as +1 strength as well. So it's getting pretty crazy in this fight. A lot of damage is happening. Khorne would be pleased, to say the least. So in the end, Meridian Sunhelm does manage to kill that goblin. The only problem though is that I took both of my actions in order to do it. I only inflicted 1 wound on my first attack, so on my second attack I finally finished off that goblin, and since I have no more other moves or actions to make, he's stuck right here within 4 inches of the table edge, which means by the end of this round he will die because he's caught by the edge of the table. So that part was absolutely crazy. So once again, that's just horrible circumstances for me. So Sister Serial then activates Toe Rag, who then finally finishes off Kato's Shadow Step as well. I believe there's a couple of critical hits in there that would end up kind of finishing him off in the end. So right off the bat I lose another one. At the same time, I don't manage to cause any damage onto Purpley, and I believe Purpley puts another handful of wounds directly onto Tullius Vertus. I think he's within 4 wounds of dying. So I think he's got 16 wounds put on him in total, so that part is kind of crazy. So then I activate Tullius Vertus, doing the additional attack ability. That's a general ability directly under Purpley, and I managed to kill that last little cave squig. So that part was kind of nice. However, it did take both of my actions in order to do that, which I am not so proud about. Alright, so for the rest of the turn, I do activate Balian Swiftsteel. I do manage to put another couple of wounds directly onto Crib of the Moon Eye. Managed to put him up to 14 wounds, so he's about 2 away from being killed. However, for the rest of the turns, because everything else is pretty much spent on the goblins, they all swarm me using that +1 strength and +1 attack. So I'm sorry, +2 attack, including the ability that they have. The little green skins just kind of mob my character and just kind of finish him off as well, killing my leader to the last wound that he has on him. So that part was absolutely crazy. At the same time, because we're now at the end of round number 4, my second character, Meridian Sunhelm, because within 4 inches of the table edge, he also dies as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes us directly to the end of the game, with the Gloomspite Gitz taking another one on this one because the table edge killed my Meridian Sunhelm, and a little mob of greenskins surrounding my command leader chopped into pieces thanks to the rage-inducing berserker blood rain of Khorne that decided to fly around the battlefield in this one for the twist. So that part is pretty crazy. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go directly to the After Action report because this battle report is now officially over.
I thought about staying. They offered me the chance to lead them, to teach them, to be king.
Uh-huh.
But my place is here, so I swallowed the juice, said the words, and here I am.
Did you say the words right this time?
Well, maybe I didn't say every single tiny little syllable, no, but basically I said them, yeah. Basically.
Alright, now it's time for the After Action report. This is the part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action report for the Saga of the 8 Points, battle report number 4, and it ended up being a defeat for yours truly. My losses were Belian Swiftsteel, Meridian Sunhelm, Kato Shadowstep, Samus Stormsight, as well as Horus, Sister Serial lost Bluey, Purpley, as well as Snicka Nosebiter. And just to flat to tell you guys, Sister Serial completely owned me on this battle report. She totally dominated this one. And there's a couple of factors kind of led to that. One of them, of course, was my deployment that was given to me, as well as the victory conditions. That really stacked the odds against me on this one. And the reason why is because that meant I only had one battle round to bring my hammers and break them out beyond the table edge in order for them to survive. So that was one of the main indicators. However, the other indicator was the blood rain ability. It gave everyone on the table who took wounds +1 attack as well as +1 strength. It made everybody uber deadly, and since Sister Serial has more fighters than I, her buffs went straight through the roof for all the number of fighters that she could draw a lot of strength as well as attack from as well. And the third reason why she beat me so bad is because just simple masterful playing by Sister Serial. She did divide up her forces, and usually when you divide up your forces, that's usually not such a good idea in order to do that because you violate the principle of mass to put a lot of hurting on your opponent. But she did it masterfully. She intercepted my forces, taking me down bit by bit. So every single time my reinforcements came on, she had those guys suppressed and had them occupied, and then she could take me on whatever she wanted to at her own leisure. It made her very, very deadly as well. Now, this is, of course, my third straight loss in a row on this one, so that part is kind of sad. However, I don't care if I'm losing a lot of my battle reports. This is still an amazing game, and I'm having a blast playing this game. It's a lot of fun. And this game is quickly becoming very addictive to me and my gaming group. We're having a blast playing these games. Gloomspite Gitz, they are really tough in this game. They have numbers and also have high strength attacks. They also have pretty high toughness as well. For the Cave Squid, for example, they got 5 strength for their attacks, so they're hitting me on 4s. At the same time, these guys have 4 toughness for most of the characters, so they're also suffering at, I have to hit them at 4 up as well. So it's actually pretty good for them. Plus, since they got numbers, number of fighters on the table as well, they're pretty legitimate force, especially if you just take like how Sister Serial did it with just cave squigs and just normal straight-laced Gitz. It's actually surprising how effective those guys really were. In the end, this was an amazing game against an awesome opponent, and as always, I can't wait for the rematch against these guys. That's good for this one, you guys. Please feel free to comment, like, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news about this channel. That's good for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.